Hi guys, good morning. So in this class, this is our sixth class of JMeter regarding Cookie Manager. And Cookie Manager is a very important component of our test, and it should be included in the test plan because most, I think most 80% of the applications that we are using right now contains some sort of cookie management in them. So if we open any web application, so there must be some cookie established by the web application which need to be stored uh, before moving forward. And once we record our test case in JMeter, cookies value should also be saved, otherwise our test will fail. So now currently if you see in the screen, you can see this is the same test we used in our previous class to fix dynamic values. So if you can see, we have a lot of dynamic values set up. This is the first, second, the third one, view state generators. So, and in the detail request, we have the fourth one here, the view state. So we worked with dynamic values and we didn't notice that cookie manager was already there. So if you can see this component HTTP cookie manager, basically BlazeMeter usually once we record our test case through BlazeMeter, it automatically adds HTTP cookie manager in our test plan. So uh, so first we need to think about what is this component all about? What is cookie manager? So in a simplest form, cookies are small pieces of text. You can understand it like a piece of text or information sent to your browser by a website you visit. So whatever web application we are visiting, uh, it basically what it does, there are small pieces of information which are sent to our browser. And what is the purpose of behind sending this text? Basically it helps website remember the information about your visit, which can both make it easier to visit the site again and make the site more useful to you. So it's all about user experience. So website knows who are you, and your visit information stores. So next time when you visit the website, uh, it will re-establish the same cookie and give you the user experience which you expect. Now, the second point is, so if we open our website, so if we open the developer toolbar and we refresh it. So let me give you an idea how we can make sure that our website is using the cookie manager. Is our website or web application is setting up any cookie in our browser or not? So you just need to browse your application and go to application section. In application section, you would see local storage, session storage, etc. These are the detail. Here you can see cookies, right? So if I go to cookies and expand the cookies, here it is showing my domain. If I click that domain and access it, now you can see, as you can see, I have some cookie information. So ASP.NET session ID. This is my session ID. As you can see, this is for session. This is also for session. And each and every cookie has got some expiry as well. So usually the cookie is saved for 15 days. Sometimes it's saved for a month. And uh, you must have observed when you visit Facebook, right? So whenever you visit Facebook or any social media website, you will see that you don't need to log in to that website, and plus your experience, Facebook somehow knows you whenever you visit the website. And somehow after a month or so, at some point, it you know doesn't recognize you. So it could be the reason that cookie is expired. So now that's where you can see the cookies. If your application is saving any cookies in your browser, that's the location where you can make sure that yes, there are some cookies. So now the test case is already developed. What we can do is, if you have recorded your test case through BlazeMeter, then you need to disable the cookie manager. Just disable it. Once you disable it, it means that it is not there. Now we just need to select the thread group and play our test. Go to the test result and we will see the result of our test without cookie manager. Yep, so now you can see our second request got failed, and now the second my detail request is also very important, which, yeah, it passed. So it means only user login is failed, right? So this is our request and this is our response body. So if we see, it is saying validation of view state Mac failed. Again, we have an error, and error is emailed to me as well. If you see, it is saying validation of view Mac state failed, application is hosted. So it is the same error we got when we were handling the dynamic values. Now, now the interesting thing is dynamic values are already there. If you see, my dynamic values are already configured, but still my test is failing. And now why I'm sure that it is failing because of the cookie is because what I can do is I can go to the first uh, I can go to the my first request, and as you can see, it says no cookies here in the request. So it is not saving any cookie. Now in my second request, which is failing, if I go to the request body and select all the text, I will see no cookies, right? It means no cookie is going in the second request. Although no cookie is going in the first request, but first request must have generated some cookies in the response. So yeah, let's see. So these are the cookie information. So you can see here there are three records, right? ASP.NET session ID. Then I have anti-access RF token. So these cookies which we saw in our application development tool as well, that these are the cookie records which are getting stored in our browser. So in the response of my first request, I can see some cookie information, right? But where is we need to pass the same cookie information in the request of the second, in the header of the second request. So if I go to the second request, I go to the request headers, there is no cookie defined, and even in the request body there is no cookie defined. So the same cookie which I am getting in the response of my first request, I need to pass I need to pass. So here, yeah, so whatever the cookie I am getting in the response header of my first request, I need to pass it in the request body of my second request in order to link both, right? Otherwise, they will fail because my second request is not recognizing me. It is not able to recognizing uh, the request where it is coming from. So in order to pass it, so what I can do is now let's enable the cookie manager from here. So right click it and click enable, keep these tests, and now click on the thread group and play the test again. Then we will compare. So now it is again executing my same test scenario, but now this time it is executing with the cookie manager. We don't need to. So you just observed that now my requests are being processed successfully and they are passing, right? Now my test is passed. My test is passed. Number of transactions 5, failing 0, right? It's passing. And you know what? I didn't change anything or I didn't configure my cookie manager yet, right? You just don't need to do that. You just need to have cookie manager and it will do the job for you automatically. So now let's compare the result of this one with this one. So now this one I was getting response code 500, but now I am getting response code 200. 200 means successful. I'm getting okay response, right? Whereas 500 is internal server error. So now let's see the request details here in the second one. So if I go to request and request body, now you can see the difference, right? Now after enabling the cookie manager, my second request body contains the cookie data, right? Now as you can see, both the cookies are included in the request body, right? And it should be same, right? So if, for example, in the first one, if I go to the response and I go to the header, I can see my ASP.NET session ID is ending with 3VQYR. And now in the second request, I can see in the request body I'm getting the same ASP.NET session ID with same value, which is ending with 3VQYR. So it means it is automatically handling this for me. So that's the overall role of cookie manager in our test case of JMeter. So I think that's it from today's class. And then in the next class, we are going to cover assertions as well, which are also important to make our test. And currently, what we are doing, guys, we are creating our test and understanding all the concepts to successfully record our test case and run our test case with a single user. That's what we are doing currently. And we will apply assertions. Assertions are, as you know, they are the checks and verification points of our test. And once we configure our test completely, then we will apply load. So in the next class, we will cover assertions. See you in the next class.